Hello, welcome to the channel. Today, I will show you a 2007 American science fiction drama film called The Man from Earth. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The opening scene shows a man packing his belongings into his truck. The man, Professor John Oldman, is seemingly moving to a faraway place. Suddenly a car stops beside him and some people pop out. These are John's former colleagues, who reveal that they are here to throw John a going-away party. John is touched and moved by the gesture for reasons not known yet. The colleagues include Edith, a devout Christian, and an art history professor, Dan, an anthropologist, Harry, a biologist, Art, an archaeologist who brings along his younger student, Linda, and completing the group is Sandy, a historian whose unrequited love for John is not hidden. The group retires to John's house and they start questioning why John is moving after 10 years of the professorship. Most people in their field carry on their careers for 40 years and more. The group is also astonished by the fact that John hasn't aged in the last 10 years that they've known him. They want to know his secret before he leaves town. John looks at the group silently, pondering what his next words will be. The group urges him to say something, since this might be the only chance he has. Art finds a piece of stone, still intact, though it must have existed about 12,000 to 17,000 years ago. The whole group is astonished at the fact that something from that era could still exist to date. John mentions that he has a silly question and goes on to ask what the group would do if they found that someone from that period was alive today. Dan thinks that the idea is interesting. That would make for a good science fiction book. Harry explains that the human body can live up to 199 years if it undergoes perfect renewal and detox. He backs his theory by explaining that human bodies are made up of cells that undergo changes, making the entire body change every 7 years. Due to slow poisoning, the body ages quickly, develops little resilience to diseases, and inevitably shortens the lifespan. However, he claims that anything is possible and remembers how crazy people thought Columbus was when he set out to find another path to India. John reveals that he was with Columbus on the sail. At the time, most people believed that the earth was flat, and he was sure that they would fall off at some point. Everybody is taken aback by this, with most people refusing to believe John. However, they decide to give his words some merit, interested in seeing where the evening leads. John can sense the skepticism in his colleagues, but he proceeds with the story. After he was born, he aged gracefully until he turned 35, and then the aging stopped. He was kicked out of his group when the others realized that he could not age and blamed him for stealing their lives to sustain his youth. John explains that he does not remember everything, as he is human. There are so many memories that he has blocked out, and others are forgotten as the years went by. However, he remembers the cold melting, the brighter days, and how much bigger the earth became as he set out to explore. One person mentioned that John could have easily read the changes the earth went through from books. John confirms that the books have been an important tool in helping jog his memory. Initially, when he found that he wasn't aging, he wondered whether that was a gift or a curse. However, he was determined to see what the future held, so he learned to adapt. He learned several tricks along the way, including his famous one of moving from one place after 10 years, so people don't learn his secret. He has been busted once or twice, and even got into trouble with the law because of his name. He also learned how to fake his death. He became Sumerian, then Babylonian, and eventually assimilated with the groups traveling east to trade. Here, he met Buddha, a very incredible man whose teachings enlightened him so much. He became Buddha's disciple until Buddha's death. While Buddha never mentioned anything about John's mysterious condition, John could feel that Buddha always knew. After the death of his teacher, he moved on with his life, carrying the teachings to heart. One of John's colleagues fears that John is suffering a mental breakdown, so he calls another one of their colleagues, Dr. Will Gruber. Will gets in the house, and everyone fills him in on what John is saying and whether they believe him or not. Will asks John if he's ever fallen sick, and John reveals that he has suffered from chickenpox, smallpox, and the Black Plague. When asked about the scars to prove this, John reveals that his body does not scar. Will asks John if he has ever felt any guilt for outliving all the people he knows, loves, or cares about. Will gets a little aggressive and mentions that John's earliest people kicked him out because they assumed he was stealing their lives. He asks John if any part of him ever believed that, and what he knows of vampires. Vampires are believed to drink other people's blood for sustenance. Will wonders if John is like that. He then removes a revolver from his pocket and points it at John. He wants to see if John can die and refute his claims. John says that he has never claimed to be immortal. Will then offers to shoot John's arm so that everyone can see if he bleeds or not. The people in the room calm Will down and he walks out. John soon learns from his colleagues that Will's wife had passed away on the previous day from cancer. He runs outside and meets Will before he can get into his car. He apologizes for Will's pain and expresses his condolences. Will gives John the gun, which John sees is unloaded. Will is still upset, so he leaves while John rejoins the group. John's colleagues ask him if he has ever met someone who was like him. John says that in the 1600s, he met a man and the two seemed to have the same weird phenomenon. However, neither could trust the other, so they promised to stay in touch. 200 years later, he thought he saw the same man at a railway station, but he lost the man in the crowd before he could pursue. One person wants to know if John has ever met a religious person in history. John is hesitant to speak about religion since he does not prescribe to any. However, he deeply feels that there is someone watching over humanity since the beginning. The other guys are not impressed and they urge John to tell him who he met. John starts by revealing that the Bible is mostly based on myth and speculated history. This deeply upsets Edith, as she has faith in the Bible. She wants to leave, but the others urge her to stay and listen to John. John claims that after leaving Buddha, he found that people were corrupt and selfish, so he took to teaching them a few of the things he had learned. Someone asks him about the crucifixion and his scars. John says that he has taught his body pain resilience, so he simply blocked out the pain. When his body normalized, he found that his disciples had buried him in the tomb. He couldn't escape easily, as some devotees were watching over him, leading him to be resurrected. Shortly after this, he ascends to other countries. Edith is deeply troubled that John calls himself Jesus, but John says that the name was created and evolved over a period of time. He further mentions that his teachings and those of Buddha were similar, so there is a thin line between the two religions. Priests and other religious figures created the notion of heaven and hell to torment and rule over others. John says that he revealed himself to his friends as he wanted to say goodbye as his true self. During his teachings by a valley, he once asked his people to decide who they thought he was, and now he asks his friends to do the same. Will, who has rejoined the conversation, urges John to put a pin on his analogy so he can stop upsetting people so much. John confirms that his story is a ruse, leaving the others disappointed. The evening comes to an end, and everyone parts ways after saying goodbye to John. Sandy stays behind. She mentions that John must have gone through a lot of names. John claims that he has never changed his first name, only his surname. He begins listing the various surnames he has had over the years and places he has taught. One particular surname catches Will's attention, who has not yet left. He asks John if he taught chemistry at Harvard 60 years ago. John confirms that he did, and even mentions Will's mother. Will is taken aback and asks about his dog, whose name John recalls with ease. The revelation is too much for Will, and he asks why John abandoned them. John claims that he had to move on. Soon after this heartfelt reunion, Will gets a heart attack and dies. As the paramedics carry Will's body, Sandy remarks that this must have been the first time he has seen his son die. John gets into his truck and starts driving. Suddenly, he stops, and Sandy joins him. showing a new future for the both of them. What do you think about this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more movie recaps like this. Like and share this video. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on new content about your favorite movies. Do you want to keep the entertainment going? Well, check out this related video to see more, and I'll see you in the next video.